Namaste. Welcome to the English class of grade 8. Today we are doing listening, speaking and writing section of unit 4. Hope you are ready with your textbook and other necessary materials. My dear students, before beginning the class, let me ask you one question. Have you ever participated in some kind of social works or worked as a volunteer? What was your experience? Great, I know that you experienced good. We feel good when we work as a social worker, isn't it? Or sometimes when we work as a volunteer, it's a new experience and we feel happy on the occasion. Okay, so let us begin the class. My dear students, there is a guess question for you. Now you can see the screen and guess what the picture could be about. Yes, you are right. You can see some elderly citizen over there, isn't it? So, the place is senior citizen residence. Okay, we can also call elderly people's home. So, there is a question for you. What do persons in elderly home for an aged people do? What do they do there? What do you think do they do there? Okay, good. Senior citizens live in senior citizen home as a same family, and they spend their time mostly listening to religious songs, doing exercise or taking care of themselves. They try to make their remaining life happy by involving in spiritual practice and living a simple life. Okay, so my dear students, let us begin our listening, because today the listening is also related to something I just talked about. Okay, before listening, there are some tips for you for listening activity. So, the tips are: read the questions clearly. Before listening to the audio, you need to read the questions clearly so that you will be active in listening to the audio later on. Likewise, you also need to listen actively and listen for the specific information which is asked in the question. And you can also take notes while listening. So, before playing the audio, I would like to give you some instructions. Actually, you will get chance to listen to the audio for the 3 times. Okay? First time, what you do is you just go through the questions and then listen what specific information are asked in the text. Then again, I will play the audio for you for the second time. And then in the second time, when you listen to the audio, what you do is you take notes. Okay, you need to write down the specific words which the fill in the gaps is asked. Okay, then on the third time, you need to correct the answers, whether you have done is right or wrong. Okay, so my dear students, let me play the audio for you.
There are a lot of things I will always remember, such as first day at primary school, holidays abroad and birthday parties. These special moments are all linked up with some celebrations or turning points in my life. Although these experiences are nice and great to remember, I have realized there are some beautiful experiences gained not only through special occasions, but also through everyday life. Such an experience for me was a voluntary work. Last summer, during the vacations, I was working as a volunteer in an elderly home for the aged people. After a conversation with the nurse and the social worker, I was told my job was to take them out for walks and read them newspapers and books. All that might sound a bit boring, but just after a few days it turned out to be quite different. The elderly people accepted me as if I was their friend. They have told me their life stories and achievement. They gave me many advice and warned me from dangers that youth can bring. I have learned so much from them. This was an interesting experience. I was taught about life a lot. And some of them who do not have many visitors, I was the only one who they could talk to. I gave them feeling of care and support, and they have showed me that with great appreciation. However, I found out that it was them and their gratitude what made me so happy.
Okay, my dear students. So you have listened to the audio. Now, let me read the questions for you. Okay. The speaker remembers the events like holiday abroad and what else? Okay, you need to fill up the information and you need to use only one word in one gap. Okay, so what else did he remember? Similarly, beautiful experiences are also gained through everyday what? You need to attentively listen to the word everyday so that the information that comes after it, you need to catch it up. Similarly, the speaker worked as a ... in an elderly home. Okay, what was the position of the speaker? Likewise, her job was to read the newspapers and what else? She used to read the newspaper and something to the elderly people. Please listen attentively. Likewise, the elderly people have told her their achievements and ... stories. They told her their stories as well as something else. Please be attentive to that particular information. Similarly, the work at the elderly home was an interesting to the writer, was an interesting what else? Okay, interesting to the writer. Likewise, the speaker gave them feeling of support and ... Okay, now my dear students, listen to the audio for the second time, and while you listen to the audio, please note down the specific words which are asked in the your exercise.
There are a lot of things I will always remember, such as first day at primary school, holidays abroad and birthday parties. These special moments are all linked up with some celebrations or turning points in my life. Although these experiences are nice and great to remember, I have realized there are some beautiful experiences gained not only through special occasions, but also through everyday life. Such an experience for me was a voluntary work. Last summer, during the vacations, I was working as a volunteer in an elderly home for the aged people. After a conversation with the nurse and the social worker, I was told my job was to take them out for walks and read them newspapers and books. All that might sound a bit boring, but just after a few days it turned out to be quite different. The elderly people accepted me as if I was their friend. They have told me their life stories and achievement. They gave me many advice and warned me from dangers that youth can bring. I have learned so much from them. This was an interesting experience. I was taught about life a lot. And some of them who do not have many visitors, I was the only one who they could talk to. I gave them feeling of care and support, and they have showed me that with great appreciation. However, I found out that it was them and their gratitude what made me so happy.
Okay, my dear students, you have listened it to the second time. So, I hope that you have already got most of the required information. Okay? So, once again, I will play the audio for the final time. Then, this time what you have to do is you have to correct your answers, okay? And give it a final print. So, let's listen to the audio for the third time.
There are a lot of things I will always remember, such as first day at primary school, holidays abroad and birthday parties. These special moments are all linked up with some celebrations or turning points in my life. Although these experiences are nice and great to remember, I have realized there are some beautiful experiences gained not only through special occasions, but also through everyday life. Such an experience for me was a voluntary work. Last summer, during the vacations, I was working as a volunteer in an elderly home for the aged people. After a conversation with the nurse and the social worker, I was told my job was to take them out for walks and read them newspapers and books. All that might sound a bit boring, but just after a few days it turned out to be quite different. The elderly people accepted me as if I was their friend. They have told me their life stories and achievement. They gave me many advice and warned me from dangers that youth can bring. I have learned so much from them. This was an interesting experience. I was taught about life a lot. And some of them who do not have many visitors, I was the only one who they could talk to. I gave them feeling of care and support, and they have showed me that with great appreciation. However, I found out that it was them and their gratitude what made me so happy.
Okay, now our listening is over. Hope you have completed the exercise. Now, if you have completed, let's check, okay? Okay. The speaker remembers the event like holidays abroad and birthday parties. Very good. You have done correctly. Similarly, beautiful experiences are also gained through everyday life. Okay. Now, the speaker worked as a what? What did she work as? A volunteer. Very good. Now, her job was to read the newspapers, and what else did she read? She also read them some books, okay? Similarly, the elderly people have told her their achievements and life stories. Great, you have done correctly. The work at the elderly home was an interesting experience. Very good to the writer. The speaker gave them feelings of support and care. That's great. Okay, you have correctly completed the exercise related to listening to the audio. Now, my dear students, I have a question for you. Okay, what do you think about the speaker's work? It's good to work as a volunteer or not? What do you think? Okay, yes, you can take turns to ask that question to your friends. If you ask the same question to me, then I would say I would definitely love to work as a volunteer, because it gives me new platform to learn new things, isn't it? So whenever we get chances to work as a volunteer in elderly home or maybe in orphanage home, then we have to be ready for that, because it has many advantages. It promotes our mental health also, and it gives us opportunity to learn something new. That's great. So let me show you some advantages of working as a volunteer in an old age home. First, you can also guess what might be the advantages of working as a volunteer in an old age home. Can you guess? Yes, you are right. Now, let me show you some of the advantage or benefits of working as a volunteer in an old age home. See, if you work as a volunteer, you get a chance to meet new people. In senior citizen home, if you work there as a volunteer, then you get chances to meet new people, and it gives you what does it give you? It gives you social connection. You get opportunity to meet with different kinds of people and talk with them, and you get chances to look things from their angle. Similarly, it also promotes our maturity level, and we become more wiser, okay? Because all the time we are doing the same hectic routine, but something, if we do it differently, if we go to a different place, then it gives us some more knowledge and we become more wiser and more mature, okay? Similarly, working as a volunteer in an old age home also improves our well-being. That means it reduces our stress and also increases empathy in us. Do you know the meaning of empathy? Yes, empathy is kindness. We become more kind to the elderly people. Likewise, it is also a contribution to the community. Isn't it a contribution? Yeah, it is, because we are also the part of this society and we also have some responsibility towards our society. So it is the part of our mental well-being, and it's a contribution to our community to help those in need. Likewise, working as a volunteer in a senior citizen home also makes us more compassionate, human, and it increases love and kindness in us. Likewise, it also enables us to understand the need and wish of elderly family members like grandparents or maternal grandparents or your own grandparents, anybody else, or any person who is in your society who is senior citizen. We get to understand their needs and we can see things from different angle. Likewise, it also gives you one extra benefit, that is, it gives you chance to enhance your curriculum vitae. Okay, you can write it down that you have worked as a volunteer in this and this organization, and then whenever you are applying for a job, the company takes it as a plus point, and you can note it down in your CV also. So isn't it a good experience? Yeah, whenever we get chance to work as a volunteer in an old age home, we need to work. Okay, now my dear students, it is time for us to do the writing section. As I told you earlier, today we are doing listening and speaking and writing. Okay, so it's time for us to do the writing now. Before beginning the writing, let me give you some tips on writing. Okay, so whenever you sit down to write, what you have to keep in mind is there are some things that you need to keep in mind. Okay, the things that you need to keep in mind is we need to plan before writing. If we don't plan, then what happens? We just go beyond our subject. So we have to plan what are we going to write. Likewise, we also have to use different types of vocabulary. If we repeat the same word again and again, it becomes monotonous. Our writing does not seem creative. So we have to use different kinds of vocabulary. Likewise, one thing you need to keep in mind is you should always be connected to the subject or the topic. If you go away from the topic, then that doesn't give a sense. Okay. Similarly, you need to avoid repetition of the ideas, and you also have to develop your writings into paragraphs. Okay. Likewise, there is one more idea that you can also use transition words when you write, such as besides or furthermore or in addition to, etc. And one thing that you must not forget is you should not copy from someone else. Okay, that is not a good idea. That's exactly very bad idea. Okay, you should never copy from somewhere else and then write it as and then present it to the teacher as your own writing. Actually, that is a very bad practice. You should avoid that. You should always try to be original. You should try to maintain your originality while you write. Now, my dear students, there is a question for you in your textbook. Okay, it is in writing first section. Let me read it for you. You must have had several memorable events in your life. Write 2 or 3 paragraphs about one of them. Include the answers to these questions in your paragraphs. What was the event about? When did it happen? What lesson did you learn from it? Okay, so whenever you are writing, there are hints given. Okay, so the hints are you need to mention what the event was about and when did it happen, and also what type of lesson did you learn from that event in your life. If you miss these 3 points, then you are going out of the context, because the question directs you to remain within these contexts. Okay, now I will present you a sample writing. Okay, have a look at it. Okay, my dear students, I will read the sample writing for you. One of the most cherished and memorable events in my life was the trip to Pokhara. Pokhara is well known for its unique landscapes and beautiful lakes like Fewa, Begnas and Rupa. Attractive scene of Annapurna mountain range and Fistel mountain captivated my heart. It was the 2-day educational tour with my school friends and teachers, and the time was the spring of 2022. We enjoyed boating in the Fewa Lake, visited the mountain museum, and went to Pumdikot and Sarangkot hilltops. In Sarangkot, we saw people enjoying paragliding. The structure of Gupteswar Cave and David Falls are incredibly exceptional. So, my dear students, as asked in your question, the first paragraph is about where did you go, what was the event about, and then the second is, I have included the event. The event was, a trip to Pokhara. And then in the second paragraph, as the question directs, there is a mentioning of the time. When did it happen? When did that trip take place? Actually, the trip took place in the spring of 2022. Okay. Now, what did you learn? The question has also asked, what did you learn from the trip? Now, let me show you the final paragraph. From that trip, I learned that Pokhara is one of the best destinations for spending our vacations. There are many wonderful things to experience. We can promote internal tourism by visiting Pokhara. This unforgettable journey taught me that people do not need to go to some foreign places for having fun. There are stunning places inside our own country where we can visit and promote internal tourism. So, my dear students, in the final paragraph, I have tried to write what did I learn from the visit, because the question was similarly asked, no? Okay. So, my suggestions to you is always be connected with the question and only write that what is asked by the question. Especially during the exams, if you follow that trick, then you will get good marks. Okay, my dear students, now it is time for us to do the speaking section. As I told you earlier, we are also doing speaking section today. And before beginning the speaking, let me give you some tips on being a good speaker. Okay. So, if you want to be a good speaker, then what you have to do is, you need to practice regularly. You need to practice regularly to speak in English if you want to be a good speaker. Likewise, you have to begin with simple conversation and slowly move to the complex ones. If you directly jump to the difficult type of conversation, then you will lose confidence. Okay, so in your beginning stage of your conversation, you have to begin by simple language and simple type of conversation, so that it will boost up your confidence and you will be a fluent speaker also. Likewise, you need to be clear and audible. If the person who is listening to you cannot understand what you are saying, or if your voice is very low, then how can communication take place? It doesn't take place, isn't it? So, you need to become clear and audible. Likewise, there is another tip also, you can record to your own conversation using your mobile or computer, anything. There are recorders in our gadgets. You can use that facility and record your own how do you speak. Okay, you listen and then record your own conversation and then listen. When you listen to your own conversation, you get a chance to listen to your mistakes also. So, for the next time, you can correct it and then confidently go on speaking. Likewise, if you want to be a good speaker, what you have to do is, you must listen to the native speakers. Okay, in today's world, it's very easy. There are so many internet facilities, and there are different kinds of English speaking channels. There are so many kinds of audio lessons also. You can follow them and be very good at selecting the authentic materials. Okay. Similarly, you need to be confident while you speak. So, now let me present you some of the section from your textbook. Study what these people are saying. What are they talking about? So, it's a part from your textbook. It's in page number 44. You can just see what the girl is talking about. She is talking about her experience, her little bit, bad kind of experience. Okay, what does she say? Let's listen.
Recently, I've waited for one of my friends for more than an hour. We had a plan to go to a movie. While I was waiting for him outside my school building, it started to rain. He arrived late, but he didn't apologize. When we reached the entrance, the film had already begun. Since then, I've never asked him to go with me anywhere.
Okay, so the experience of the speaker is not so good. She had to wait for her friend for more than an hour, but when the friend came, he did not apologize. How bad, isn't it? So, what type of experience did she have at that time? The speaker was experiencing a kind of unhappy situation because her friend just made her wait for over an hour and even did not say sorry. That was a bad experience, isn't it? So here's a question for you. What would you do if your friend made you wait for over an hour in the rain and arrived very late to a movie and did not apologize? Okay, if it was me, I would be frustrated. Likewise, it also gives us a sense of anger, isn't it? Because the person has wasted our time. Similarly, we become disappointed. That means sad. And it also gives us a feeling of betrayal. We feel that the person has really cheated on us. Okay, so there's another part which is also from your textbook. Okay, have a listen to what the girl says.
I have recently visited the Central Zoo. At the entrance, we bought the tickets and entered. I saw many animals, reptiles, birds, etc. there. I really had fun.
Okay, my dear students, in this case, the girl has an experience of fun and joy. Okay, so when we see different kinds of animal for the first time in a zoo, what would be our reaction? Then we feel excited, isn't it? Because we get a chance to see different types of animals there. We feel excited. Then we also feel curious about the new place and new experience. For example, if we are in a zoo for the first time, then we feel curious about what this animal is, okay, what this animal is special for, like that kind of curiosity is in us. Similarly, we also feel happy and amazed. We feel amazed to see different types of animals out there in the zoo. Okay, now let me give you some more vocabulary to express happiness. When we are happy, we are full of joy and we are delighted. Similarly, we are cheerful, glad, merry and ecstatic. Okay, so learn these words which will help you in speaking as well as in writing. Now, my dear students, there is a question for you. I have taken this question from your own textbook. Work in pairs, take turns to ask these questions and to talk about your experience. Actually, we are doing speaking, isn't it? So, you have to select your friend and then take turns to ask questions on these topics. You can ask any question related to, have you ever eaten a cake, or have you read a storybook recently, or have you had gone to the picnic, or have you ever had a toothache, or have you ever gifted anything to your friend? Now, so my dear students, there are some ideas on having better conversations with other people. You need to choose familiar topic while you are speaking. The more familiar you are with the topic, easier will be the conversation. Similarly, you have to start with short and simple sentences. If you start with short and simple sentence, it will build up your confidence. You have to practice pronunciation also. Likewise, you need to listen to the peer speaker attentively. Similarly, you got to speak slowly and clearly so that the other person will understand clearly. Similarly, you have to ask follow-up questions. You know what follow-up question is? Okay, you need to ask about the subject something more, so that you need to be sure whether the person has clearly understood the topic or not. Okay. Similarly, you also need to provide positive feedback. Okay, you need to provide some suggestions about the conversation about to the person who is speaking. You need to provide some good feedback so that the person can better communicate the next time. Okay, now my dear students, let's listen to the sample conversation between the two students.
Hey, have you ever eaten a cake?
Oh, definitely. I love cakes. What about you? Have you ever tried one before?
Yeah, I have. My mom bakes the most delicious cake on my birthday every year. I always look forward to it.
That sounds awesome. What's your favorite type of cake?
I'm a big fan of chocolate cake. The moist texture and rich flavor are just tempting. How about you? Any favorite cake types for you?
Oh, I'm a big fan of chocolate cakes. But I also like strawberry flavor. It's so refreshing and perfect for summer.
True, strawberry cakes have the lovely fruity taste. Have you ever tried baking a cake for yourself?
Yeah, I actually enjoy baking. I have made a couple of cakes at home.
That's inspiring. I have never tried baking by myself, but I would like to try soon.
Great, you should try. It will be the best experience.
Okay, my dear students, I hope you listened to the conversation between the two people. Okay, what did you notice? You must have noticed that, one person has spoken and the other is following, immediately, connected to the first speaker, and then asking some more question to the first speaker, and then the second is speaking, and then the third. The conversation goes on. The conversation goes on being linked. Okay, so you need to speak in such a way that both of the speakers, or how many the participants are, they should get equal chances to speak, and then your message must be clear. You must be audible, and what you speak should be clear. Okay, so my dear students, now we have come almost at the end of our class. There is a home assignment for you. Work in pairs. Take turns to ask questions on the topic, the most memorable event of my life. Okay, so how you are going to speak is, you just take the my conversation, my sample conversation as your content, and then you can just carry on the conversations on the most memorable event of your life. Okay, my dear students, I hope you enjoyed today's class. Until the next class, thank you and namaste.